The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's helpline session with your host, James McDonald.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our Ad Clinic session here today. We've been doing these every Monday for well over a decade, and what we do is essentially a free-for-all. It's an open forum where we can discuss any element of the system that you want to discuss. It's almost like all of the other webinars that we do, they all have a set topic, and this is the only webinar we do every week that absolutely has no topic because you dictate what the topic will be. And the reason that we do these on Monday mornings is because we want to make sure that, you know, after a busy weekend of working essentially in your business, you sort of remind yourself that working on your business is what is going to make improvements and what is going to change it. And so starting off the week every Monday morning with the helpline session kind of helps get you back in Craig Proctor mode, if you will. So here's what this means. Any questions that you have, any observations, any topics of discussion, certainly any challenges that you've been having, if you want to do any role playing, if you want to talk about lead generation, any ads that you're running or thinking about running, you have questions about setting up systems, anything at all that relates to the Craig Proctor system, you bring it up and we will discuss it to make sure, again, this is largely about mistake avoidance as well. If there's something that you're going to do, make sure you have the correct answer so that if you're going to do it, you do it right the very, very first time. And so, you know, your participation every Monday morning, you'll find that it really does help and puts you in that mode, which is really, really valuable. Now, here's how I wanted to start off this morning's helpline session. And we do this almost every Monday is before we go to your questions or your comments or your topics of discussion, what we do is we take a question that has been emailed, which of course we really encourage you to email us any of your questions or topics, and we'll open up and sort of get the juices flowing by talking about that question. So the question that was asked was in regards to hiring and who you hire and how you hire and when you know the time is right to do that. So I want to begin by discussing that. And there is a Craig Proctor way of doing this. And of course, there are hundreds of ways to do this differently, but there is only one Craig Proctor way of doing this that is efficient, that is profitable, and that really is much more viable to all of you. And the first thing is identifying this. If you are so busy that you cannot get to the leads that would have resulted in you closing deals, it means that something's got to give. Either you generate less leads, either you be happy in the idea that, yeah, there's lots of business that you're generating and you can't get to it all and business is falling through the cracks, or you come to the conclusion that maybe if I got somebody to help me, I'd be able to get to more of that business that was falling through the cracks right now. And so the question then is this, but who is it that I would hire? If that were my circumstance and I'm generating more leads than I can handle and I'm working with more clients than I can really handle, yet I'm still busy with all of this work, what are your options? Now, the Craig Proctor system works this way. The first person you hire is the person that takes away the lowest dollar productive activities. See, the mistake that we make in real estate traditionally is you run out and you get a partner. You hire another realtor to be your partner to help offset the load. But that's not an efficient way of doing this. What would be much more efficient is this, finding somebody administratively without a real estate license even, to take away from you all of the $8 to $12 an hour activities that don't require a real estate license, that are extremely time consuming, and that keep you away from actually doing the things that make you money, which is generating leads, converting leads, working with clients, negotiating contracts. I mean, that is what makes you money. Anything that keeps you away from that can be delegated to somebody else. So the first person you're going to hire is an administrative person when that time comes. Remember, you don't hire the person first assuming that you're going to be busy. You are busy first, then you hire the person. Okay, now, how are you going to hire that person? Let's think about this for a second. This is probably the easiest position to fill. Because if you think about it, you're hiring somebody that has administrative experience, they don't require a real estate license, and you're paying them, 8, 10, 12, maybe at the most, depending on the marketplace, $15 an hour. And maybe to begin with, it's even part-time work. So you're going to run an ad, and your ad is going to say, busy real estate office requires administrative assistant. Real estate experience and asset, but not necessary. Fax resume too. Okay, there's your ad. Now, where are you going to run it? You're going to run it under help wanted, office help wanted, administrative help wanted. Remember, the person doesn't have to have a real estate license in order to do this. They're not, they're not dealing in real estate over the phone or with clients. Okay, they're taking care of the administrative work. So you're going to get all kinds of resumes. Now, here's why the call to action in that ad is fax resume too. The reason is because when we get a resume and we want to discard it, we can discard it. They do not have our name. They don't have our phone number. This is a help wanted ad. You're not going to put your company name. You're not going to put a phone number. Nothing goes in there. All the information they have is one thing and one thing only. It's a fax number. So if you get 3 dozen resumes, you are under no obligation to call every single one of them and let them know, I'm sorry, I found somebody else or what have you. You simply discard it. No one's calling you. No one's emailing you. No one's hunting to find you. They can't. It's an ad that simply says, busy real estate office requires administrative assistant. Real estate experience and asset, but not necessary. Fax resume too. And you give your fax number. That is, or maybe what you could do is you could also have an email address as well. All right, but that way you're not getting phone calls, etc., which can be burdensome as well. So anyway, that's the very first position that you're looking to hire in the Craig Proctor system. And that was a question that was emailed over the weekend. I think what's really important about that, and I want to have the others weigh in on this here this morning, what's really important about this is don't make the mistake of hiring the person first, assuming that that's what will make you busy. Remember, work on your lead generation, work on your lead conversion, come to the realization that, wow, I'm generating more than I can handle, and business is falling through the cracks, and I'm really, really busy. That's when you know that getting this person on board, even part-time, imagine if they work 15 hours a week. If someone gave you back 15 hours of your week, all the low-dollar productive activity was taken away from you, 15 hours, what would you be able to do with that 15 hours? It would be substantial, and you'd probably be able to accomplish a whole lot more. So having said that, before we go on to our questions here, I want to have Craig and Rick weigh in on this topic as well. And I'm not sure whether Craig has joined us yet here, but my colleague, there he is. Good morning, Craig.
Good Monday morning.
And I also know my colleague Rick Brash is here as well. Richard, how are you today?
We're good, guys. How are you? Great dissertation, James. I agree 100% with what you said.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, that was a question that was emailed over the weekend. And we always like to start off these Monday morning helpline forums, as you know, by taking a topic of discussion and sort of getting the juices flowing. Although we can discuss anything you want, I thought that was a pretty good place to start. And I'd like to get your feedback on that before we go to questions.
Yeah, well, for many of our members, the number one reason they're attracted to the program is they don't have enough business, right?
Sure.
So if you remember at the Super Conference, what I said is, we're going to help you with this. We're going to help you generate more leads. But that's going to cause different problems. Every time that I solve a problem for you, it will create a different problem. It'll be a better problem, but it will be a different problem. So you go from not having enough business to all of a sudden you've got so much business that you don't know how to handle it all. And I said at the Super Conference, well, one of the things that you could do is you could stop running the ads, but that would seem to be a terrible waste to stop doing the thing that's actually working. So before you run out and you hire your first assistant, you're going to make yourself super efficient as a solo agent. That means having the right systems in place. It means being very careful about how you spend your time. Okay, it means there's a priority of things that need to happen. Now that you don't have to spend an enormous amount of time on lead generation because the leads are coming in automatically, it will give you more time to spend with your clients, which should mean you're giving them better service, you're getting more referrals, etc. But anyway, we're going to start with you and your coach talking about how to generate lots of leads. For some of you, you're going to very quickly be at that point, if you're not already at that point, where you're going to need some help. Now, there are right ways to do this and wrong ways to do this. How many of you have tried to hire an assistant before and you failed at it? So we're going to explain to you all the things that can go wrong and how to do this properly in due course. But let's encourage everybody to type in their questions in the chat. We'll take some audio questions as well. Rick, I think we're getting some background noise from you.
You are?
Yeah, a little bit, or maybe it's not you. It could be James, or maybe it's not. But let's go to the chat here, and we'll take some questions here. The first question, Rick, we'll give this one to you. This is from Julio. Regarding Facebook ads, do you recommend creating an unbranded page to post the ads?
Yes and no. So the unbranded page, as I showed you at the Super Conference, works in conjunction with the two-step lead generation method. We call it post-page engagement. And I want you to have a comfort level of doing that before you start creating pages. My advice, Craig, is start with the basic pay-per-click ad, the basic ad that simply flies into the timeline or down the right-hand side. Get comfortable with the medium first. Understand the local market so the ad you create is really talking to the busiest sector or the busiest subdivision locally, and start to create leads that way. Then when you're ready for seller leads, we'll teach you how to do that post-page engagement method, which on the surface is a little bit complicated, but can create leads for sure. So my advice is start with the basic one-step method, and we'll graduate you into the two-step method.
Okay, next question is from Faisal, and he's asking, what kind of activities do you think an administrative assistant can handle? Is there a list of job responsibilities? Okay, look, I think James said it well a few minutes ago. The Rainmaker theory that I taught you at the Super Conference says this, that you are only involved in activities where you can change the outcome. So what activities are you involved in every single day where anybody could do it? It doesn't require you. I mean, are you the only one that can get a key cut? Are you the only one that can take a picture of a home? Are you the only one that can bang in a for sale sign or make feature sheets? Clearly, all of these activities can be delegated, okay? And they can be delegated to somebody for far less than what you're worth per hour. And one of the reasons that many agents are not worth what they believe they're worth is because they're bringing down the average by doing the $8 and $10 an hour work. All right, the next question is from Victor. Can we order, hope it just moved on me here. Can we order in Toronto the personal concept forms? Yes, you can order those on the test. It actually tells you the phone number of where you can get the tests from. So you can get them directly from the source. And that is something we'll teach you to do. Now that you know your personality type, you should also be hiring people based on their personality type. So if I'm a high I or high D, and I want to hire somebody to do paperwork, to do administrative tasks, I'm not going to hire somebody like me. I'm going to hire somebody that's strong in all the areas that I'm weak. So probably an SRC. So you can hire people to complement you. All right, the next question.
Yeah, Craig, that's something that I probably should have mentioned when talking about the administrative person. Obviously, what you're doing is you're looking for somebody with a CNS, a strong CNS type personality, so that they're very organized, they're very predictable, they're very consistent. They have that kind of personality type. You're not looking for a salesperson. That's what you're doing.
Okay, the next question is from Jackson Campbell. Jackson says, during the VIP buyer appointment, it seems I'm getting nonverbal feedback from the buyers that my presentation is too long, especially those who have purchased before. I've even learned to move through it quickly. how do I deal with this? Well, look, you've got to watch the body language of the prospects you're presenting to. If I'm presenting to someone like James McDonald, who's got a high I personality, he's not big on details. James, how long of a presentation are you going to pay attention to?
Yeah, well, here's the thing is, I mean, there are parts of it that might be interesting to me, but as soon as you get bogged down in the mundane, detail, within a few minutes, it's going to start to seem really redundant and just get to it, please. And a D is even worse. They're far less patient.
Yeah. Okay, so Jackson, you are going to have individuals that will want more detail. And that's why it's important that we establish as soon as we can the personality type that we're presenting to. But remember, you're not presenting to yourself here, so it doesn't matter how much detail or lack of detail you would be interested in. Okay, you're not presenting to hear yourself talk. You're supposed to be presenting this in a style that would lead the prospect to say yes. Okay, this is a question.
I think you kind of answered the question a little bit in your question too, Jackson, in that you said, I find myself, I can speed up through parts of it. And yeah, I think that's exactly what does happen with a presentation, is you do find that there are parts of it where you can speed up. And maybe what I might suggest is this. If you're kind of not sure and you're speeding up through those parts, just stop intermittently and ask any questions. Does this make sense? Do you have any questions? And you know what the C and S might say? Yes, I do have questions. But the D and the I, you'll clearly see that there are no questions, which is going to give you further indication of that personality type.
Yeah, their question might be, are you done yet?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Guy Walker. Guy says, is this the personal Facebook page that most of us have, or do we set up a separate business page for setting up pay-per-click ads? Rick?
You don't need a business page. Okay, the purpose of a business page, as per typical Facebook guru teaching, is to create a herd of people. Well, that's not what we're teaching you to do here. What we're teaching you is that Facebook is a great place to run direct response marketing. So from your personal Facebook page, you click on the ad manager and you create an ad. And the ad will actually run completely separate from your personal presence on Facebook. It will run all by itself, being flashed to the demographic that you've chosen when you've put your ad together. There is a place where we can create a less branded Facebook page, but that's kind of advanced, and we're not going to do that right away. What I want you guys to learn how to do is create a really compelling, very relevant pay-per-click ad using the ad manager straight from your personal page. And you'll see when you do this, it's completely separate from that page, and it will generate leads for you.
Okay, next question. For Kijiji neighborhood sales ad, do we put both the hotline and website link, or do we put separate Kijiji ad, one with the hotline and one with the website? Which one works the best from your experience, Rick?
I would put both in the ad, but let's remember, unless you pay the $5, the domain name that you put in your Kijiji ad is not a link. It's a copy and paste. So let's make sure we're clear on that. Kijiji only lets you have a hot link if you pay for it. And you don't need to pay for it on Kijiji. You can run 6 to 8 ads every single day, and people will gladly copy and paste your URL into their address bar and end up on your landing page. And the reason we put the hotline in the ad is let's give those prospects 2 kicks at the can. Let's give them 2 opportunities to become a bona fide lead. So I learned that from Craig years ago. The more opportunity we give a prospect, the more chances we have of creating a lead.
Okay, this is a question from John. I'm considering running an editorial type ad in this Sunday's local newspaper. Have you had any experience in how effective ads are going to work on Labor Day? Now, this is a very good question. I get this question asked a lot around Thanksgiving, around any holidays. And here's what we would be led to believe by our competition. We're led to believe that we should take our foot off the gas pedal. So around the Christmas holidays, you know, in December, we're told things like, well, no one's buying, nothing's happening. But if you do some research, you'll find that there are still homes that are selling. There may be less homes selling, but there's also way less of your competitors working. You see, real estate agents like to talk themselves into reasons why not to work.
Craig,
That's my experience.
I would also say this, is that whether properties are selling or not is not really relevant. The purpose of running an ad is not to sell a home. The purpose of running an ad is to generate a prospect.
Right. So I'm going to argue. I found that during the holidays, including Labor Day, were always great times to run ads. Why? Because your prospects have more time to actually do this research. So even though there might be less home selling, there's way less agents participating because they've all convinced themselves it's a waste of time doing anything, and it's self-fulfilling, right? So let's say in December you didn't run any lead generators, you didn't run any ads at all. Well, of course you're going to get off to a slow start in January. So you would assume, well, December must be a really bad month because I didn't generate any leads, but you didn't run any ads. So yes, the answer is I ran my ads. I didn't change my schedule at all. At all. And we'll get to that on one of my, I think it's coaching session 3. I am going to show you exactly the schedule of my ads. I'll show you exactly what ads ran. I'll show you where I ran them. I'll show you exactly what the ads cost. And I'll show you how many leads I generated from the website and the hotline in each one of my leads. I want to make this simple for you. You'll see exactly what I do. You'll see that it's not super complicated. It's not expensive. These are all the misconceptions, right, that Craig must have spent all this money on advertising, but it was very effective. And here's what I'm going to recommend, that you just copy what I did. Just copy it. I'm going to lay it all out for you, show exactly what I did, where I ran it, what they cost, how many leads I generated. And now that schedule ran 52 weeks of the year. You see, it didn't matter if I was on vacation. It didn't matter if it was Labor Day. The leads are going to keep coming in. And as long as the leads keep coming in and filling your pipeline, you're always going to be in good shape. But when we start to listen to what our competitors say, because they'll try to tell you, well, in the summertime, you know, you should take time off, nothing's happening. At Christmas time, nothing's happening. At Labor Day, nothing's happening. At Thanksgiving, nothing's happening. Well, if you listen to all that, guess what? You're in bad shape.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question from Pawan Sharma. Hi, Pawan. For the distress sale ad, do we have an actual distress sale? Do we have an actual distress sale home before we put in the ad, or does it work even if we don't have such a home in that community? It doesn't matter. I mean, I think you're saying a bank foreclosure. Look, a distress sale doesn't have to be a bank foreclosure. You have to understand this is our list. So if I run an ad offering a list of fixer-uppers, since it's my list, if Rick visits my landing page, and we're going to ask Rick for all his information, so he's going to tell me the price range, the neighborhood, the style of home, the square footage. So I'm going to go into MLS, or have my assistant go onto MLS, and pull up all the homes in that MLS district, in that neighborhood, between this range and that range. And I'm going to decide which one I believe are distress sales or fixer-uppers. Now, I wouldn't be too concerned about this. In other words, I wouldn't knock yourself out on the list, since you've got to understand they're never going to buy one of the homes on the list anyway. Okay, chances are very low. Just like the chances are very low that they're going to buy one of your listings when they call you on an ad call or a sign call. And we know that, right? We discussed that at the super conference.
Yep.
You've been in real estate long enough to know that when you get an ad call or a sign call, they hardly ever buy it. But that doesn't stop you from working with that buyer. So by offering the list of homes, we're going to cast a wide net. We're going to cause a lot of people to contact us because they want a list of distress sales. If you get lucky and they happen to buy one of the homes on your list, great. But I'm just saying in my 25 years of experience, that didn't happen much. So, yeah, Pawan, whatever you think is a distress sale, it could be vacant properties, could be a bank-owned property, it could be a home that's been reduced 2 or 3 times and hasn't sold. It just doesn't matter. It's your list, so whatever you want to put on your list, then that's your list of distress sales or fixer-uppers or luxury homes or whatever. Okay, let's see who's next here. All right, Michael is asking, what market statistic information did you put in your 4-page newsletter? Well, look, all you have to do, Michael, is just take the information, if you're in Toronto, off of the Market Watch newsletter that you get from the Toronto Real Estate Board, okay? Or you can go in and you can do your own research on MLS. If you've signed up to the IMS Real Estate Statistics website, you can gather some information there. But this is what is of interest to people that are buying and selling. They want to know what's going on with the marketplace. So you're right. You need to have statistics, and there's many different sources to get those stats. And that is the right thing to put in a 4-page newsletter. Okay, John is asking this. I'm working with Success website. 2 features they're offering are setting up a business Facebook page. Will I be using this or my personal Facebook page? Also, will HDX help me make more money? Okay, that's a loaded question. Well, Rick's already given you the answer on the business Facebook page. We have some of our members that do that. I think, Rick, is Aaron Kin doing it that way with the business page?
Well, you know what, Craig? Most of us have 3 or 4 business pages, but there's a difference between what we want you guys to do. You see, the traditional Facebook page marketing says create a page and then get a bazillion likes and people to be on that page. We're not teaching you that. We're teaching you direct response marketing so that from your ad, we create traffic to your landing page in your less branded website. There's a big difference. I mean, if you want to have a business page, great. But here's my question. What will you do with it? Well, it's extra stuff. You're going to waste a whole bunch of time on it. You're going to do a whole bunch of things that are not creative for lead generation. So you don't need a business page right now. We're going to teach you how to create a less branded page to work with a specific marketing campaign in your local market, wherever you are. But initially, we want to teach you guys to generate traffic from your ad to your landing page in your Success less branded site. Now remember, and I'm not dissing Success website here, all these vendors are always trying to upsell you for more money per month. At this point in time, you don't need them to build you a Success, or pardon me, a Facebook business page. It's completely unnecessary.
And as far as the HDX site goes, well, here's what you should do, John. Take them up on their free trial, and you test it out. You compare it to the basic less branded page and see if it converts at a higher rate. If it does, then drive people there. If it doesn't, then you should be driving people to the less branded site. All right, here's a question from Hugo. Would it make sense to use a toll-free number as well as a domain name with a pay-per-click ad? Well, I think we answered that one already. Yes, you should probably do both. Okay, let's see if we have any audio questions at that point. At this point, if you have an audio question, you have a microphone, you can raise your hand, and we'll take a few of those.
We do have a question from John McEwen. Your line is now open.
Hi there. I've been trying to do some research for my first Facebook ad, and I'm in Toronto, and in Canada they don't allow you to geographically take Toronto and divide it up into geographic regions. So you start out with 1.3 million or more when you narrow it down by age. Do you have any tips with regards to how to properly narrow that down to something that's a little bit more manageable so that I'm not getting stuff in the west end of the city when I only want stuff on the east end?
All right, Rick, that's a good question for you. You're in Canada. You're using Facebook. How do you narrow down your target audience?
Yeah, so I struggle with the same metropolitan issues here in Calgary, and my trading area is somewhat smaller than Toronto. But if I'm not careful, my ad can be flashed to 900,000 people. So I don't do that on Facebook because it's been completely watered down, and I haven't been able to generate a lot of leads. So one of the things you can work with is age. Work with your age bracket. Find out what age bracket is in fact doing the business that you want to do. The other thing you can do is you can create a Facebook ad that talks about a specific neighborhood that's just selling lights out. In Calgary, we have a few neighborhoods like that. I have a neighborhood called Chestermere. I have a neighborhood called Martindale. I have a neighborhood called West Hills. So I can reference those neighborhoods in my ad because every single month those are the top selling neighborhoods in the city, and we generate leads from people because that's a natural inclination. Craig often uses the example of Glenway Estates. Well, he didn't just advertise in Glenway Estates, but because Glenway Estates and Newmarket was always a consistent seller, Craig would run marketing that talked about getting a list of homes for sale in Glenway Estates. Well, it's the same mentality. Let's create an understanding from the ad reader that they can get a list of properties in that specific neighborhood that they want to be in.
Okay, so the point is, Rick, is your ad didn't say, hey, everyone in Calgary, click here.
Right.
Right, just like your ad in Toronto shouldn't say that. It should be, you should be calling out to the audience you most want to attract. But if your ad says, hey, if you live in Toronto and you own a home and you want to know what it's worth, that would be a problem. First of all, you don't work all of Toronto, so that wouldn't be a good idea.
No,
so,
in the interest section, I was able to find, so you can, in the other demographics, what people are interested in, neighborhood-specific pages. I was able to narrow it down to a $70,000, or sorry, $70,000 range. So
yeah.
I think that is okay, but I'm not sure if that's too small or if it's too specific. But I think that was an interesting way of narrowing.
Well, Rick, what audience are you shooting for in Calgary?
Well, it depends, Craig. I work with bedroom communities. I also work with parts of Calgary. And like you just said, I just call out that neighborhood in the city with my Facebook ad. So I have an ad, for example, that goes out and offers a list of properties for a community called West Hills. West Hills is prime real estate in Calgary. We see lots of sales every single month, and we simply offer a list of properties under $500,000 in the community of West Hills. And it goes out to a larger audience. I'm careful with my age. I don't flash my ad to high school kids and people like that. I probably start with an age of 27 or 28. I don't go past about 50, and that helps me narrow things down because that's the buying public, and that's who I want to talk to.
Okay, Rick, so let's do this. If you're available on Friday, why don't we upload a couple of your Facebook ads for the ad clinic? Yep. It seems like we've got a lot of questions about Facebook, so Rick is going to upload some of his ads, and then we'll hand. So let's have no more Facebook questions for now. We'll save those for the ad clinic on Friday. So anything about Facebook, Rick will show his ad examples, and we'll take those on the ad clinic. Okay, let's see if we have any more audio questions at this point.
Yes, sir. We have Gary and Catherine Griffin. Your mic is now open.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm at the point where I'm generating a number of longer-term leads where I want to stay in contact with them, and I want to start sending them a newsletter. What would be the essential elements of the newsletter that I should be sending out? Okay,
well, I've created templates. I have a 2-page newsletter and a 4-page newsletter. The 4-page newsletter, if you go to the BXL site, Gary, you'll see the 4-page newsletter. Maybe Andrea can flash it up here now. The 4-page newsletter is better, but it actually requires our members to do some work. They have to get some statistics. So if you're in Toronto, you can get statistics right from MarketWatch. That's the newsletter that the Toronto Real Estate Board sends out. Most real estate boards will have this kind of monthly or bi-monthly communication with their members. I find that this is really good information that prospects want. Now, so I started off with a 4-page newsletter because that's what I did. You'll see all the stats. Maybe you can make those bigger there, Andrea. Some of the home sales on page 2. Yeah, right there. On page 3, you can see this is information right from the Toronto Real Estate Board. Now, what we found is because this actually required our members to do something, that not everybody had a newsletter. So that caused me to go back and create a 2-page newsletter. So if that might be easier for some of you to create if we go to the 2-page newsletter now, Andrea, you'll see that we're not asking our members to do anything. With this newsletter, the 2-page, all you have to do is copy it. Okay, so you might want to get started just with the 2-page newsletter. Now, what are we offering here in the newsletter? We're offering the same kind of information that caused the prospect to contact us in the first place, right? So what would be better than getting a prospect to contact you once? Well, once they contact us once and we've determined they're a longer-term prospect, they're getting mailed and emailed this newsletter every single month. So perhaps we get them to respond a second or third time, which gives you another reason or excuse to follow up with them and requalify them and, create some reciprocity. So what's going to happen here is you create top-of-mind awareness. In other words, they're not going to forget about you when it comes time for them to take action when they're ready to buy or sell. So you can order these newsletters through BXL. You can order either the 2-page or the 4-page with the warning that with the 4-page newsletter, you actually have to do something. You actually have to go to your real estate board, gather these statistics, and input that into your newsletter every month. If you know you're not going to do that, you should probably stick with the 2-page newsletter. Is it as good as the 4-page? Probably not, but I'll tell you what it's better than. It's better than doing nothing. And that's what most realtors unfortunately do. They all know that they should follow up with their leads. If I was speaking in front of 1,000 real estate agents today and said, how many of you know that you should follow up with your future prospects? How many of you know you should have a newsletter? Everyone puts their hand up. The problem is we don't do the thing we know. So I've tried to make it really, really easy for you to all get a newsletter.
Now, you mail it or you email it?
That particular version I mail out, but if you go to your Success website, they also have a prospect newsletter with totally different content that you can email just by inserting the prospect's first name and their email address. So since it's free, I would do both.
Perfect.
Yeah, Craig, the components that make the newsletter work are, number one, that it's branded to you. Number two, that it's full of direct response components like offers that cause a prospect to raise their hand really a second time, because the only reason they're getting a newsletter is because they raised their hand a first time. So we know that there's a motivation there. It's just that their timing was down the road. So they've already indicated motivation at one point. Now the newsletter they're receiving on a regular basis is full of direct response components, different offers for properties, for free special reports, for different types of information, for different USP offers as well. There's lots of opportunity for a prospect to raise their hand a further time and say, maybe I'm a little closer to doing something than you thought. So of course, all of the URLs and all of the hotline codes are all coded to the newsletter. So when a lead comes in from the newsletter, you know it's from the newsletter. You know that's somebody that represents a prospect you want to get on the phone with very, very quickly. And the third component is market information. You want to have relevant market information in the newsletter. Those are the three components that cause prospects to actually read the newsletter. And yeah, as Craig said, if you go to BXL, I'm sure most of you have already done that by now because the link is right from the coaching website. You'll see what it looks like, and it's outstanding.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions about the newsletter here. Okay, one of the questions from TJ is, well, is this newsletter updated monthly? TJ, I have created 12 issues of the newsletter. So they're labeled Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, so they're not, they're not dated like August, September, October. So yes, there are 12 versions of the newsletter at BXL printers. Someone else is asking, are the newsletters in French? Okay, let's talk about the materials in French. Today, I believe Francois McKay is doing a special webinar for our members in Quebec. Is that true, Andrea?
That is correct. Everyone should have received, all of our Quebec members should have received the invitation, the reminder, and also you can find it on the coaching site. It's under bonus call.
Yeah, show everybody where they can find the French materials. Because,
okay, then we have our French materials, yes. We go under the File Library, so Library tab, File Library. And you just click French material.
Right there.
There's a whole section. I'm sorry, I cannot translate it for you. We're working on that, though. But I assume if you're going to be able to get this, you probably know, what it says if you speak French.
Yep, we won't have to translate it. But we
here
won't.
are all the materials.
We're going to have this in English and French, so it's not that you can't read it. It's that James and I can't, and Rick. So, when people say, is such and such on the website in French, we'll be able to tell you yes or no. Now, we're going to keep adding to this. This is courtesy of Francois McKay. And today at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, is that correct?
That is correct. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. 3 o'clock Eastern Time is when our webinar is going to be for our French-speaking members, yes.
Perfect. And as everyone knows, the website is available in English, French, and Spanish. Okay, Julia was asking, hey, what type of CRM do you use? I used Agent Office. Many of our members use Top Producer. But there's a company called Wise Agent, and they're going to be at this super conference. That's a pretty cool contact management system. We're getting some really good feedback. I believe it's like $29 a month. It's web-based. Maybe you can go, if you can Google wiseagent.com. I think it's wiseagent.com. Let's go there and visit their website. Now, I am urging you to come to the super conference in. You might be thinking, well, I just was at one of your conferences. What more is there possibly to learn? Well, I think you'll see there's a lot. And you won't be sitting in the main session. You won't be hearing exactly what you heard in Toronto. You're going to be sitting with the coaching members. Do you remember the air wall in Toronto? Remember all the coaching members were on one side of the air wall? You were on the other side? Well, you're going to get to go on the other side of the air wall. You're going to get to go in with all the coaching members. So I also know there'll be, some of you coming up with reasons why you're not going to come, and that's a shame. I mean, Rick, I don't know if you want to add to that, but, our members will come up with reasons why they can't make this one. They're going to come to the next one. Maybe talk a little bit about how important it is that you come to all the live trainings. And, well, the webinars are good. Nothing beats the live trainings. That's why our children go to school in a classroom environment. It's really been proven the best way to learn, plus all the people you're going to meet there. I mean, that's the big benefit, is hanging out with people that are successfully doing what you want to do. And think of the social proof you're going to have when you get back from California and you've met with hundreds of people that have been coaching for, some of them a matter of months, some of them a matter of years, who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. I just don't know how you put a price tag on that. But we do hear things like this. Well, it's going to cost me $800 in airfare. Or, well, yep, it's going to cost money to go to California, but what's it going to cost not to go to California? Oh, yeah. That's the better question. Yeah. So, Rick, I'm sure you're talking to your coaching members about the importance of coming to all the free events.
Well, look, here's what it boils down to, Craig, and you and James often talk about this. We have these convictions, and convictions can really be limiting if we're not careful. And all of a sudden, we have this conviction that, oh, I can't go. I can't go to California, and that's a conviction. You've told yourself, you've convinced yourself, and now you've got 1,000 reasons why you can't come to California. We want to break down those bad convictions, because that is a limiting belief. You need to be at every event that Craig puts on, plain and simple. I've never missed one since 2001, and the reason I keep going over and over and over again is it's a great place to be. It's great for my business. It's great for me personally. It's great to hang out with this family, this group of people who simply share their success with the Quantum Leap system. And, what else would you do? Sit at home? Watch the weather change? Run some ads?
What we hear from many of our coaching members is just by attending the conference, the network of top agents they meet from all over Canada and the United States, they make more money in referrals every year than what it costs to be part of the program. So think about this. If you're in Toronto, you're in Montreal, and you get one referral because you met somebody at the California conference, that paid for your coaching for an entire year. Okay, we've got some more questions here. Is there a discount to book at the JW Marriott in Anaheim? Yes. Do is call our travel agent, Tina, and her phone number toll-free is 1-888-871-3876. That's 1-888-871-3876. There's a big discount if you go through Tina because we have a room block of discounted hotel rooms. So why pay more? But to get the discount, you got to call Tina directly. And I wouldn't procrastinate on this because if you book now, airfare is still reasonable.
Yep.
If you wait, it won't be, and then that'll be your excuse, right? That's the excuse. Well, then it's, the airfare is too much. Okay. As far as Wise Agent goes, Catherine and Gary have just typed in here that it's only $19.99 per Craig Proctor coaching members. So I said 29. So we negotiated a discount for coaching members. I don't know how you beat that. $20 a month for an online contact management system.
Well, you don't
that's networkable. I mean, no, you can't beat that.
You don't beat it.
You don't beat that.
And just so you guys are clear, Craig and I used Agent Office for many, many, many years. But Agent Office was sold, the support dried up, and we needed something better. And this company stepped forward. They made the changes that we requested. They did everything we asked them to do for our members, and boom, they gave us a great price. And I'm with Wise Agent. I love it. I think it's a great contact manager, and everybody that doesn't have one, just go there. Use the trial, sign up, get your people in there, and let's get busy. I
believe that's what they call a no-brainer for $19 a month. Okay, let's see. We got a lot of questions here. Andrea, can our members access Session 3 material yet?
No, they can only access up to Session 2, which is next week.
Okay, so Lauren's asking, hey, where can I look at all the ads you ran for the whole year? You know, Craig, a few minutes ago you said on one of our future calls you're going to show us exactly what you did and where you ran it and how much it cost. You don't have access to that for another week or so, Lauren. You're probably asking why. Because I don't want you guys getting overwhelmed by all this. I'm trying to teach you this in a specific order. Okay, so that's why we dole this information out to you in bite-sized amounts. We want you to do the right things in the right order. So that's going to be Session 3. You will have access to it at that point. But you see, here's the thing. I want to go over it all with you folks so you actually understand it, rather than just giving you access to it ahead of time and then there's confusion. So I would rather explain the information as it becomes available for you to make sure that you get all your questions answered. And I know that's going to be a week or two away, but please remain patient. We will get to all of this in due course, but there is an order to this. And sometimes I actually hesitate talking to you about what's upcoming because, of course, everybody wants it right away. Okay, TJ is asking this. Hi, Craig. I see your for sale sign pictures in the special events section, and you have more than one sign on the lawn, Talking House, Sunday Tour, etc. I read somewhere that we're only allowed to have one sign. Is that a RICO rule or a city bylaw? That's probably a city bylaw because in this town of Newmarket, I was able to have as many as possible. In Toronto, maybe even in Montreal, that might be a city bylaw. But what you can do, instead of having separate signs, TJ, just have sign riders that hang on the bottom of your sign or they go on top of the signpost, because that's still considered one sign. That's how you get around that. All right, let's see if there's any more audio questions at this point.
Okay, again, if you do have an audio question and a working mic or you're on the telephone, click the hand icon you see at the top left-hand side, or you can just type open my mic in the chat box. We have Drago Paninic. Your mic is now open. Drago?
All right, no go. Let's move on.
No go.
Okay, we got some more chat questions. That's cool. Okay, Mike is asking this. What do you think the best lead generator source is? Is it Market Leader, Commissions Inc., Bold Leads, etc.? Look, a lot of our members use Bold Leads. They also use Commissions Inc. I would say that you test them out and you commit to a short enough time period that if it doesn't work for you, that you're not wasting a lot of money. But I've heard good things about all of the companies that you mentioned here, Mike, but I've also heard people say, well, this particular one doesn't work that well. So I think it is kind of marketplace dependent, but I guess test is the best answer to that question. Test them out and let the performance that you get dictate what you'll continue doing. Okay, John, this is a question for James. John is asking, What is the website that shows a list of all the small local newspapers in the U.S.?
That is www.usnpl.com. And I think Andrea showed that one on Friday, as a matter of fact. I think there it is, USNPL. And you look up by state, all the newspapers. Now, this is pretty thorough. However, in addition to this website, I would also do a Google search as well for, publications, magazines, newspapers in your town or geographic area as well, just to see if there might be something else that doesn't show up on this website. But this is pretty thorough. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so you did it for Austin, Texas, Andrea. Let's do it for York Region. York Region. No, it's USNPL, US.
I know, but I'm saying in Canada.
Oh, you want to do a Google search? Right. Okay, yes.
Because that's the other thing you could do. How about this? Just your area, your city, your town, and then common.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is you don't just rely on the USNPL. Do a Google search in addition to that, even if you're in the US.
All right, let's see if there's any audio questions.
We do have a hand raised from Sammy Nizaruddin. Your mic is now open.
Yes. Hello?
Hey, Sammy, how you doing?
Hi, pretty good, you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I've been doing some ads that I put in the mail. The little, how you call it? Sorry, I try to get the word in English, but publicity, through the mail, saying like your property sold in 90 days or I'll sell it for free.
Okay, postcards.
Yeah, postcards, sorry. Yeah, postcards. And I'm not getting a lot of response, and I've been sending to maybe 5,000 people. It's like the whole area where I live.
Here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do, it's the postcard's in French, I take it?
Yeah, it's in French.
Okay. So this afternoon at 3 o'clock, Francois Mackay is going to answer your questions. And what I would do is I would email that to him and let him look at your postcard. But I would ask him to look at it, and then you can tell him exactly how many you sent out and where you sent them to, and then he can help you with that.
Okay.
Okay, but there's no use sending it to me because obviously I don't read French, so that's why we have the webinar this afternoon for that.
No, I understand. But is there like maybe a better way to do it? Like, is it better to do, I'll give you 1,000 or 2,000 or?
Well, this is what you're going to test, right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right, this is the whole idea is rather than us tell the marketplace what's going to work, we need to listen to what the marketplace says. We need to try, test different messages. One of the messages will always work better than the others, and then you'll know. And then you keep doing that until you find something that works even better.
Okay. And do you suggest to have it like some kind of, oh no, never mind, that's not a good question, but is it better to change the style of the postcard sometimes after a year or so? Or
no, not. See, this is what I talked about in Toronto. Real estate agents, we get bored of our marketing before the marketplace does. So what I was trying to explain to everybody in Toronto is I used the exact same postcard with the exact same message for years and years and years and years. Why? Because I couldn't make it better than that. A lot of real estate agents, they become bored with it. Even though it's working well, they change it for the sake of changing it because they're bored with it. So they think, well, because I'm bored with it, I need to change it. And then they make changes that actually make it not work as well.
Okay. Because I heard that after a while, people, it's like repetitive, so they don't notice it anymore. They just throw it in the garbage and they don't even think about it. And then when you have something new, then they look again.
Well,
okay, what's this?
The people that are throwing your postcard in the garbage are people that are not ready to buy or sell.
Okay.
Okay, that's the point I'm making is I sent out the online home evaluation postcard. Andrew, if you can pop that up. That was on one side. And the area home sales report was on the other side. Okay, now I sent that out every other week, 20,000 every other week for years and years and years and years. So
Okay.
what you're saying is, well, Craig, after a certain amount of time, all of the people in your marketplace, I mean, they would be used to seeing that and they would just ignore it. But I'm saying 10 years later, that postcard still worked as well as it did the first year.
Okay.
Because people who are not thinking of selling their home would ignore that postcard. So somebody that's happily employed today, or they're happily married today, they ignore that postcard. But the exact same postcard comes in a month from now, and they're paying attention to it. It's not that the postcards changed, it's that their needs have changed.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay, good. Yeah, totally makes sense.
Okay, but don't miss the webinar, 3 p.m. this afternoon, with millionaire maker Francois McKay. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Yeah, we've got some people asking about Kijiji. What is Kijiji? If you're in the U.S., is Kijiji viable in the U.S., Rick?
No. Kijiji in the U.S. is called eBay Classifieds. So eBay owns Kijiji in Canada, and their version of it in the U.S. is called eBay Classifieds.
Yeah, I remember my father, Rick, tried to put something on Kijiji, and he actually sold it. My dad, he's, 75. Well, he actually didn't do it. He had my nephew do it. He'd have no clue how to do that. But he was quite proud that he got my nephew, who was in his early 20s, to place an item on Kijiji.
Well,
and he was all excited the next day, and he called me, and he said he'd sold this item, and I asked him, well, how did you sell it? He said he sold it on Wiggly Jiggly. That's what he called Kijiji. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of a goofy name, but Kijiji in Canada, it's eBay Classifieds in the U.S. Okay, Elizabeth is asking, you mentioned that you have a place on CP's site for a newsletter. Okay, that should be on your Success website. There's a place for you to enter the prospect's name and email address. Do you know exactly where that is, Rick?
I don't actually.
Okay, I'll tell you, I didn't use the thing, and I'll tell you why. I don't think you use it either. I'm saying it's available, but here's the problem. Half of these emails end up in spam. Because everybody wants to do that, right? Like, here's the question some of you might have is, well, Craig, if you can just, add the prospect's first name and email address, and it doesn't cost any money, why don't you just do that? Why do you have a paper, by mail newsletter? Because the newsletter gets delivered and opened, and the email may not. Like, I think we all agree, we get a lot of emails, and not all of them go into your inbox. Some of them go into your spam, and even the stuff that goes into your inbox, do you read it all? If you have a newsletter and it doesn't get read, I don't think we can argue that it's helpful at all. There's no downside in doing it, but that doesn't replace the paper by mail newsletter. And as I mentioned at the Super Conference, I think I mentioned it there, I want the newsletter to go in a plain white number 10 envelope, hand addressed with a live stamp. Because, Rick, you and your wife, just like everybody else, you open your mail over the garbage can. So I could send you my newsletter, with a Remax balloon on it. You can buy those, right, from Remax, Century 21, Keller Williams, Royal LePage. You can have your company logo on it. And I have a postage meter. Boom, I could whip it through there, and I could just stick a label on. But when you go to your mailbox and you see that, it looks like junk mail.
Yep.
And where does the junk mail go? Into
L13.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look,
so you guys, here's the thing, you guys. We really want to help you break this mentality of email. There's a right time and a wrong time to use email. And, working with your prospects, working to create appointments, working to get close to people, email's not going to do it for you. The open rate for email, Craig, it's like 10%. 10% of these bulk emails that go out maybe get opened. And if you're relying on that, you're going to be sadly disappointed at the end of the day. Get using the mail. Craig said it. Hand bomb the address. Hand bomb the return address. Live lick a stamp. As Craig said at the Super Conference, I remember him saying it exactly, it looks as if Aunt Lucy has sent a note your way. And that's how we want the prospect to get your newsletter. And that's a way better newsletter, by the way, because it's personal, it's real, It has real answers. It's not about how to winterize your windows and bake the best muffins in town. It's real good stuff that our prospects need. So use the Market Watch newsletter from BXL or create your own with that material, and you'll find that you get a much better rate of success.
Okay, TJ is asking a good question here. I see lots of ads in the marketplace where agents are promoting their unique selling proposition, but at the end of it, they've got a little star or asterisk at the end, and then it says nothing. It says like, call for details or restrictions apply. Is that the right way or wrong way of doing the ad? With the Guaranteed Sale Program, my condition was that Craig Proctor and the seller must agree on the sales price and the possession date. Okay, that was because I would buy any property at the right price with the right possession date. So those were my conditions. So it should say something other than, and I think you'll probably find you're mandated that needs to say something other than, conditions or restrictions apply. Anything you want to add to that, Rick?
No, I think you're right on, Craig. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Okay, Stacy is asking this. Craig, what have you heard about generating leads on Zillow.com? Hey, James, your buddy there in San Diego, Jim, is doing very well generating leads with Zillow.
Yeah, absolutely. The key is that in addition to advertising your property listing, you also need to make a universal offer. And that's the key to a lot of these websites. Is there's good opportunity there where if you have listings that you're promoting, in addition to promoting the listing, you're also making universal offers. If you have a home listed with a swimming pool, you also make an offer in the ad that offers homes with swimming pools. I think the thing to always remember is that the purpose of running an ad is to generate leads. And there are all kinds of websites that exist that think that the benefit to a realtor is that they get to advertise their property and sell it. And they really, they're so laser focused on the idea that this will help real estate agents sell their listings. But they fail to understand that to the real estate agent, they can sell any listing. They need clients. They need to generate prospects from the ad. So you can use these tools very effectively to promote your property listings, but you can also use them very effectively to generate prospects by making universal offers as well.
Okay, next question is this. Can you please explain the 60-day home guarantee? Otherwise, I'll buy it program. How can I explain it to a client? I'm a little scared if the house doesn't sell. Well, I'd be scared too because I never offered that. It was 120 days or I'll buy it. And remember at the super conference, I said, you don't start with that. That's not where you start with my program. You might gravitate towards that eventually. But how about this? How about I guarantee to have an offer on your home within 60 days or I'll pay you $1,000 cash, which is really a reduction in your commission. I know in Montreal I had a member come up and say, well, we can't do that. That's considered, what did they say it was? That was considered, what's the word I'm looking for? An inducement. They said, we can't do that. So I said, okay, so you can't say your home sold in 60 days or I'll pay you $1,000 cash on closing. I said, well, our commission's negotiable. They said, yes. I said, well, could you say this? Your home sold in 60 days, or I'll deduct $1,000 off my commission. There's nothing they can do about that. But there's nowhere where I said I'm buying homes in 60 days. Okay, that was a 120-day guarantee. And remember, they had to move up and buy one of my listings. And there were all these other conditions, and I suggested that you not start with that. You start with a different performance guarantee that you won't be so afraid of. Okay, and remember what I said a minute ago? How about an offer in 60 days? It doesn't even have to sell. Okay, guaranteed offer on your home in 60 days or less, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash.
Hey, good on our member, Craig, for wanting to use that USP in their business, because that is a strong differentiation point for our member locally. Hey, you guys, if you really want to see how this works, send a note to your coach and ask him to send you, if you can't find it, the guaranteed sale booklet that's available in the coaching library. And that lays the guaranteed sale program out very articulately, and that will help you implement it in your business.
See if there's any audio questions.
We have nothing pending, but if you'd like, please click the hand icon or just let me know in the chat. Say open my mic. Nothing's coming up. Oh, we had something for a second, but they took themselves out again.
All right, TJ is asking this. TJ getting the money's worth here. Craig, are you an advocate of open houses in general? I know you did a tour of homes. I'm not at that stage yet. I really don't like open houses. I think they're a very passive approach. If we look at national statistics, less than 1% of the homes that are sold nationally are sold as a result of a traditional open house. Yeah, I did them earlier in my career, but I did a lot of things earlier in my career that didn't make sense. So only you can decide, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, hence creating the Sunday tour of homes. I notice you're saying you're not ready to do that at this point. Well, remember, you don't need any listings to do a tour of homes. You really don't. So if I was in Rick's office and Rick had a bunch of listings, I might say, hey, Rick, would you let me open some of your homes this Sunday? And if Rick's a top agent, he might be happy to get some extra exposure on his listings. So Rick could lend me 3 or 4 of his listings. I don't need to start opening 6 homes. I could open 3 homes or 4 homes. So you could borrow the listings. Here's what another one of our members did. One of our members who worked at a very small brokerage, not only did he not have any listings, his brokerage didn't have a lot of listings. So he opened the one listing that he had that was in a desirable area, and then the next 5 homes on the tour were listings from other companies. So if he was with RE/MAX, for example, the next listing might be with Keller Williams. The next listing might be with Prudential, with Century 21. And so he basically set up showings, but there were group showings. So he drove all the people, all the prospects to his listing first. When they got to his listing, he handed out feature sheets of the other 5 homes on the tour with a map. So the first home was open for 10 minutes. He closes up shop, locks the door, drives to the next home where the buyers are following him, and he's showing, let's say, a Keller Williams listing or a Century 21 listing. I think I shared with you at the Super Conference that the next day, on a Monday, he gets a phone call from one of the other agents that, giving him trouble. Like, why I hear from my seller that you brought a whole bunch of buyers through my through my listing on Sunday. And our member said, yes, that's true. I brought through 8 buyers all at once. Well, you can't do that, said the listing agent. And our member said, well, who's saying that, you or your seller? Because your seller looked pretty happy with this. See, I don't think the sellers have a problem with us bringing a lot of buyers through their homes. But sometimes other agents have a problem with it because it's not the way it's always been done. Okay, so we're almost out of time here. We'll take a couple more. We've got some calls coming up here, and I want James to give everybody a summary of what else we got going on this week before we wrap this up. Okay, Ron is asking this. The majority of listings in East York are selling above the list price. I have a buyer for the area, and I'd like to generate some listings in this area and double end. I'm negotiate easy with myself. I don't know what that means. Any suggestions on how you would approach this to make it work? Okay, the majority of my listings are in East York. Majority of listings in East York are selling above the asking price. I've got a buyer in the area, and I would like to generate some listings in the area. Well, I would use the online home evaluation campaign as an ad in that area in the regular newspaper. Okay, you can send out postcards in that area. You can send out that message via Facebook. So that's the way you get listings. And we'll talk more about that, as I mentioned. We'll show you exactly what I did, what the ads cost, where I ran them, and what the exact response was. We're going to look at my ads for an entire year. So that'll give you, you know, a good overall view at how many leads I generated and where I generated the leads, exactly how I did it. Okay, Abed is asking this. For the Sunday tour, we have buyers with the same needs or interests. Is that right? Well, look at you. The homes ideally are going to be in the same area, right? They're going to be, you know, in Newmarket. They're going to be in Aurora. They're going to be in the same area or the same neighborhood. So, yeah, you're going to be attracting the same types of buyers, but maybe different price ranges. Okay, let's do this. We're at about a quarter after the hour, James. So I want to thank Andrea and Rick and James McDonald for doing a great job here today. And we hope everyone has a great week, and we'll talk to everybody Thursday on the role play call. Take care.